Welcome back, friends, to the Performance Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Amy Calandrino, CEO and founder of Beyond Commercial. You can visit beyondcommercial.com for the latest listings, job openings, and money market updates and all that jazz. We've been doing this now for about a decade and a half, helping business owners to become bigger and better here in the Orlando market. I started this podcast to really help others connect with the impactful and influential leaders I've met along the way. So I met Mo now maybe 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe less, through CREi.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we met first at the CREi Summit.
Yeah, so she does marketing, and is it Movo Marketing or
Movo Media Marketing?
Movo Media Marketing, that's right. So I want to chat with her. She's fun. I love the marketing that she does and just great energy, and wanted to have her on the show today. So here we go, Mo.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
So talk about a little bit of how you got into Movo Media Marketing and what you did before, or, give us the rundown.
Yeah, so I originally started my career in radio. So I was in broadcast radio, started in 2004. Ended up transferring a lot of those skills over to social media, which is interesting because you would think, how does that work? Well, you're creating community and talking to people that can't see you, at least at that time, and so it was a lot of fun. I was doing live broadcasting from my studio. I had a Saturday morning program. It was new. I played country music, and so it was New Music Saturday. And I had people, so at that time on X, which was then Twitter, you could broadcast live using Periscope or Meerkat. And so I was broadcasting my show, so they would listen online, right? Because I can't play the music over the airwaves, like that would be bad. But they would get to see all the behind the scenes, and then it was a lot of fun. I'd have people requesting music from like Argentina and Australia, Japan. Like it was a lot of fun. So a lot of classic country music. Anyway, but that was besides the point. But a lot of that stuff plays really well when you are dealing with social media because you're building community. And then I went full-time in social media in 2016. So no radio, just all social. And I got involved in commercial real estate social media through the wonderful, fabulous Miss Beth Azor. So she was looking for somebody, and ask her about the time that the interview. The interview was amazing.
I'm going to ask about the Beth Azor interview. It is on my notes for those of you that are on YouTube. You can see I make some different notes because, we just want to have a conversation here today. But country music, like you would play the country music, like you'd find country music and people would request which, like the kind of country music they'd want. You weren't actually like playing guitar and all that.
Oh gosh, no, I'm not that.
No, I was like, okay.
No, I'm like, I have 2 hands. What are they supposed to do? I'm not that talented, but I started in radio. I started as a board op. So a person who just like hits all the buttons during live events. And that was in 2004 in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And then I became news director. So I started doing news. I took that with me when we moved to Northwest Minnesota, and I had my own show there. Ended up getting picked up to be assistant program director for a radio station in Grand Forks, North Dakota. So I had my show and did the programming and new music and all that stuff there. So yes, so I was a DJ. I was a glorified DJ. And yeah, I love it. I love radio. Radio is just really hard to break into.
But it sounds like you broke into it.
I did. Imagine this was in 2004. So I actually answered an ad on the radio. They were looking for on-air talent. And I'd always wanted to do commercials, like not face commercials. I wanted to do voiceover commercials.
Right.
And my boss, Sean Michael Lyle, love him to death. He must have saw something in me, and he offered me the position. So it was everything I've learned from radio, I've transferred over to social. which has been amazing. So, it's doing social media is not much different than running a radio program.
I find people that switch paths, often what they did before is so transferable to what they do now. Like I was in law, I was like business law beforehand, and managing multiple, cases, keeping those organized. And I would say that's like helped me to be much more like efficient in commercial real estate and just powering through, the deals. And just being better organized and in looking at things differently. I think I'm much more careful to like, what are the missing things, that are missing. But
well, I would think that law would also make you have that eye of like, hey, there's certain language that I need to be aware of. And if I see this language in this LOI, or if I see this language here, like, no, that's not supposed to be there. Let's not play these games. Right. Like, I think that gives you more specialized knowledge, even if it's not an actual, I don't know, legal document that you're super familiar with, but you're like, hey, I know what to look for.
Yeah, I mean, I always recommend that my clients get attorneys on deals, but often I'll make sure to look at all the red lines, and sometimes I'll make like a comment, and then the attorney was like, "Oh, that's a really good comment," and like, didn't like see that, and so I'm like, "Okay, there we go." So
you're like, I still got it.
So, what year were you broadcasting live on Twitter?
2012 through 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, so Periscope and Meerkat. So Twitter ended up buying Periscope and integrated it into, but before then, these were separate apps. And so, I mean, back then, I was doing long form content and breaking it down and creating podcasts out of some of those live shows that I did, because both on Periscope and Meerkat, you could actually save your entire show. And then you could download it and you could break it apart. And so at that time, like 2012, I had a country music podcast that I did for over a year. And it was just me weekly talking about different things that happened in country music. So
that's so cool. I didn't know that part. I knew you were in radio. I definitely knew that. I knew that you did news, but I didn't know the country music part like as much. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love my country music, even though my family makes fun of me. I love my country music, but I'm very much a classic country girl. I do not like the new country that's out.
I was going to ask you, are you more classic, like Hank, was it Hank Williams and Garth Brooks and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we're talking like Hank up through probably the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And then I grew up in a more country town. And so like, although I've worn Jinkos and like Airwalks, but then I've had Wranglers and Lacers as well. So,
I think it's the generation, right? Because like, yes, I love country music, but very much a 90s girl, grunge, all that. Yes. I was a huge ska kid, freaking love ska. And we used to go to ska concerts in San Diego. So, I mean, it's such a weird kind of like mix of music and influences.
Yeah, no, I was very much into like, I was more into like Smashing Pumpkins and Bush and all that stuff going on then.
Which was super cool.
Yeah, but then also I'd listen to country music.
Yep.
And drink beer out in the woods, so around a fire. So anyways, but that's super cool. So then you got fully into social media 2016. Mm-hmm. And those of you listening to the show, there is a commercial real estate titan, Beth Azor, and you should look her up. She's great content and is actually in Florida. And she's been just a great mentor even for me, and great encourager. So tell me about your interview.
So I worked for a library district here locally for 3 years as a contractor. During COVID, they didn't want to fire anybody, which I love. And so they brought somebody on, and I basically ended up becoming my replacement. Totally fine. Get that. I'm a contractor. Get it. And so I needed to find a position. So I think I had my stuff out on Indeed, and I have a background in like, website design and all those things. Right.
Yeah.
And So I got contacted by Josie, who is Beth's right hand, and set up an interview. And it was awful. It was horrid. It was the worst interview I've ever done in my entire life. It was so bad. I had connectivity issues. I had headphone issues. So I was very flustered and just like, just kind of, it wasn't good. And I just saw Beth at Massimo Con. And so she's standing there with Bob Knackle and Rod Santamassimo, who are also my clients. And she's laughing. She's like, I tell people you're salty. And I'm like, I'm salty. She goes, when I interviewed you, she was telling them, she's like, it was between Mo, who I called the salty girl, and somebody that was local there in Florida. And so it was bad. It was just a bad interview. I didn't hear anything from them. So I was like, okay, well, not a big surprise because it was like that. I ended up going through my spam folder, and it's from Josie saying, hey, we opted to go with the other option. And, we're going to go with the local gal. And about 2 weeks later, Josie emails and she goes, hey, are you still interested in this position? I'm such a jerk. I emailed back and I was like, yeah, just proving that I'm salty, right? I was like, what happened to your local gal? And she goes, I know, right? Like, I'm such a shit. And she goes, she didn't work out. Are you interested? I was like, yeah, I'm interested. But immediately right off the bat, like, I got all this content and I just started running with it, right? Like, Beth already had an established presence on social. So this was just somebody coming in and helping her stay consistent. She just, it just comes to a point where it's like, how much it's like the who, not how idea, right? Like, yep. Bring the person in that can do this for you versus you having to take all the time to do it. And they did have somebody before that. And so, yeah, I've been working with Beth since October of 21.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's amazing. Like, I honestly feel like if I ever didn't like the social media shtick anymore, I could probably go into any like retail leasing location here in town and be like, hey, I'm going to lease spaces for you. This is what I'm going to do. And I could do it just because her content, everything that she does and all the information that she provides, I could easily freaking do that. I'm a sales girl at heart. So like, I fully like know what my capabilities would be. And it actually kills me to see empty boxes in this community because there's no reason to have them there. Like, they should be backfilled immediately.
No, Beth is awesome. Like, I really have started to know her over the last few years. And, I was really like, I think you're the biggest critic of yourself. And I was saying to her, I'm like, yeah, I could be doing so much more and blah, 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 blah. And like, I told her what I do as far as commission. She's like, you're like top, like, I don't know, she said 5% or 1%. She's like, you're killing it. Like, you're doing great. Like, why are you like so hard on yourself? And I'm like, because I just always feel like I want to do like more, but she's a very uplifting person, and gotten to like bunk with her a couple times for different things. And Bensu, I think our podcast will drop in January. So to the extent that tickets are still available, yes. She has a women's investing conference in March. So people should definitely check that out. Beth Azor, Bethazor for last name. But yeah, and she's such a great connector. Like that's what I find is when you connect with someone like you or Beth, I think you guys were meant to be, at the end of the day.
So that was
I've had boomerang clients too, though, like where they don't choose me and they choose someone else and then they come back again.
It was super funny, because I think Beth was expecting that she would have to do, and this is just me speaking out loud. I think she expected that she would have to like babysit me more. And that's not my personality. If you have the content, if you have the stuff that I can break apart and create with, I'm going to go do that. I don't, yeah. I've been doing this for so long. Like, I don't need you to tell me what to do. I already know what I'm doing. And so it's been a lot of fun working with her content. And she is a great connector. So she connected me with Rod, and then both she and Rod connected me with Bob from Massimo Con 22. And Beth is she's just amazing. Like I said, we usually have, as a client, she's very hands off. Like, um, we have conversations like maybe once every 6 months. And I mean, we email back and forth, but it's not like a daily contact,
That's kind of how it is with my podcast people. Like I have is it called post production? Like after you finish it and then they go and do the things. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think I'd talk to Finn like he's my guy. I don't think I had like a Zoom call with him for probably like a year. And he's been doing my podcast for like 2.5 years. Like we do emails and I'm like, oh, do this, do. But then we finally got like on a call like earlier this week and to where Squadcast actually can like link right to a Google Drive.
Nice.
So then it drops it right to him like a little birthday present, every few days. Here's another one. Come on, Finn. So it's cool. And I'm increasing to a weekly cadence. And we just wanted to like change some like operational efficiencies. So always looking to kind of systematize things a little better. So, well, very cool. Like I like, so you've done a lot of different things. What I'm noticing though is how nimble you are. And have you always had that kind of nimbleness or resiliency?
I think so. Like, no, well, I don't know. I don't know if resiliency, yes. I don't know if I'm necessarily nimble. I feel like I'm untractable a lot of times. I'm very like set in my ways. And so I don't like change very much. And it takes me a little bit like sometimes, and then this is weird. Cause like if we're talking about adapting new technologies, like I'm all for that. Like I want to adapt new stuff, right? All the time. Anything that can do it faster, better, whatever. Very happy about that. But when it comes to potentially changing how like I actually create content, you have to really show me that it's a better way than what I'm doing. And I think it's the ADHD, right? Because like my brain's constantly picking stuff up from everywhere. And so I have my system set in place. And when you disrupt that system, it's like, I can't do it. You can't
find your path.
Yes, absolutely. So,
yeah.
I mean, people make fun of me about my how many tabs I have open. I'm like, listen, those are my doom piles, okay? People have doom piles around their houses, at least I do, of like crap that I know what's in this pile. Don't touch the pile. I know what's in there. I put it there. I know exactly where everything is. Even though it looks like junk to you, that is my pile. Leave it alone. So, I mean, I think that's, if you want to look at it that way, that's probably how I create content too, is based on a doom pile system of like, I have stuff here. I have stuff here. Okay. I know where I can grab all this stuff and put it together.
I understand what you're saying. So I'll give you an example. I've always had a desk phone. And I've always had a headphone with it. And that's how I've worked in a law office. That's how I worked in my commercial real estate firm. I have been that way. But then I've been untethered without it. And I haven't felt right for like the last year. So then I finally found like a phone company. And I'm like, I am getting my desk phone back because I work best with my desk phone, with my headset. And I've tried it this other way. And I need to go back to the other way. So like I did it. I didn't want to do it the other way, but I really wish I would have just done it the way I've always done it because it wasn't broken. Like,
right. And there's comfort in those systems that you're used to, even if they don't make sense to anybody else.
Right. Someone's going to come into my office and be like, you have a desk phone? And I'm going to be like, yeah, that's what I want. So well, I mean, watch, my revenue will go up next year just because of the efficiencies of like being back to like a real like office like system. I'm just going to feel better. I just know it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that it's the almost like the tactile, like, you can grab it, you can set it on. Right. And it puts you, I bet you'll find that it's going to put you in a different mindset as you're doing things, because now having that mantle on basically is like, okay, this is business time. This is money time. Like, this is me getting serious versus wearing just, maybe headphones or whatever. And you've got your cell phone next to you. And then all of a sudden now you're scrolling through TikTok and you're like, oh crap.
So that's another thing that's been happening is every time I go to pick up. So there's I didn't even think of that's why I like it too, is what happens is if I go to pull up my phone to make a call, then I see this and I go, oh, and then I don't get to what I wanted to do versus I have this on D&D and I'm just doing my emails and I'm just calling. I definitely, yes, I didn't even think about that. That has been happening a lot. And I try, but I can't stand unread text. It bothers me.
Yeah, I have that
It's
issue.
one of my things. I like to have it like none. I don't want any of those reds.
I can't stand, so like my kids snap me. So I have two older girls. One's 25 and the other one's 22. And, we use Snapchat to communicate.
Yep.
And so when they snap me, immediately I see that come through and I pull up my phone and then now I'm on Snap and
then you're on Twitter. Then you're on Instagram.
I'm on TikTok.
Then you're like, I got to get back on the computer. So,
yeah. Or, I'll even find that happens with clients too. If I'm posting for a client, then, I'm going through and, looking at their feed to see what's happening in their feed and has anybody tagged them? Do I need a comment? Do I need do any of that stuff? And then, a half hour goes by because I watched some video that took me down a rabbit hole of other stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, like I need to get back to work.
So I think kind of the point of this is though, like for me, I've always taken comfort in it. It's a tool for me to stay more focused. Cause like, I feel like I'm like in a bubble when I'm just like computer in front of me, phone there, and I'm not looking at this because these weren't even that important. Like 20 years ago, we didn't even have the iPhone then. I mean, I think I had a flip razor 20 years ago. And so like just getting back to that, because at the end of the day, you think of like Stephen Covey has the different quadrants and stuff. And there's all these things that can distract you and just staying focused.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you have ADHD, that's a bit of a challenge.
Just a little bit with some other stuff. So it's okay to be what's they call it? Neurodivergent.
Yeah.
That's fine.
little spicy.
So you are chair of CREi this year. You were program chair before, right? Or you just are handing the reins over? Oh no, what are you doing on CREi next year?
I am working with Mr. Joe Killinger. And
that's right. You went on marketing.
Marketing, yes. So
who's the chairs then?
Sarah Malcolmson.
Yep.
Malcolmson. That's correct.
No, Sarah Malcolm. Just Malcolm.
It's Sarah Malcolm. Okay.
Right. Just Sarah Malcolm?
Sarah Malcolm and and Ken Ashley.
Oh, they're doing it together?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ken's the grand poobah and then Sarah's the little grand poobah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you'll do marketing with Joe Killinger next year.
Yes. So we're working on that right now. We need to come up with our content calendar. I would like to do a lot more user-generated content this year and really get our influencers involved and have them creating content with us. So when you have that user-generated content, one, it's far more organic than you trying to come up with it on your own. And then two, it also allows you to have just a wider variety of content coming through versus just the same stuff. So looking forward to putting that together. And then starting the marketing a little bit sooner. I think we need to definitely the lists. We need to make sure that the lists announcement goes out there and everybody's talking about it. There were quite a few people last year that mentioned to me, they're like, I didn't even know that the lists were going on. I'm like, oh yeah, I could have told you that. Duh. So yeah, just making that sure that.
Yeah. When do you think the list announcement is going out to have people nominate themselves and stuff? Is that going to be like a January thing? February?
It's going to be a January thing. Yeah. So we get that going out and then probably wait until I would like to wait until March to start taking the list. Cause I think with the first list that went out last year was in May. And then start like every 2 weeks after that, just announcing like who's on the list. Right. But that gives people plenty of time to nominate, to put their nominations in.
But more so the announcements will already take place and all of the lists will be announced like May, June, July kind of thing.
Yeah, they should start getting announced in
because I noticed one of the lists wasn't until like a couple weeks before. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the podcast list and the TikTok list.
Yeah. So for those listening and don't know what CREi is, it's Commercial Real Estate Influencers Summit, and it's been going on. It'll be our 5th year. And what's really cool, on my programs committee, I'm co-chairing programs. One of our program people, Aviva. And she was mentioning, like, we met in a bathtub. Like, we were doing some like content with Eddie Gonzalez outside of, like, while we had some white space during the summit. And then because Eddie's like, how about you and Aviva come and we do a tub talk? And I'm like, yeah, it's great. And they were like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, we both have seen each other. And it's so funny. She mentioned during the call that, I sent over like a $60 million deal. Like, this is the things that happen when you get to know people. Because I'm like, my friend's like, I need something Colorado. And I'm like, oh, Aviva.
Right.
So, I've met some great people at the summit, and, it's just great for connection. It's great to level up. And I find it's something I really want to volunteer in. Like, I know that I'm busy doing the brokerage, but I think Dalee Becker says, like, givers get. And I've just found that to be true in my life. I'm happy to, give. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's in Palm Springs this year. So it's September 10th through the 12th. And if you guys want information on that, it's CREiSummit.com. And that is CREiSummit.com.
Yeah.
There's that radio background.
Like, remember, like, we got to put this in the show notes, and everybody's got to have the links and all the things, all the links and all that. So, yeah, I mean, it's really cool that how you've made that switch from radio now to commercial real estate, and now you've got like 3 titans of commercial world, plus all the other people that you're working with. That's cool. What aspect of marketing do you find that you like the most?
So I really enjoy building community. I mean, if it comes down to it, to me, marketing is building community. If you look at Coca-Cola back in the day, if you look at Pepsi back in the day, even Nike or Adidas, not Adidas. If you look at those companies, they really built a community around their brand, right? Mm. You're either a Coke girl or a Pepsi girl. You were either a Nike girl or a Reebok girl. You had an like identity and a community with that, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't really see that as much as we used to. There's not as much, I think, because we're used to brand. We don't see as much loyalty or potentially even that community being built anymore. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is to actually build a community around a brand, because then you have all these people talking, and there's so much fun that can happen when you do that. And when you give an authentic voice to a brand, that's even more fun, because then your personality can come out, the brand's personality can come out, and you guys can just have a hell of a lot of fun with it, right? For example, not my brand, but and probably not one that everybody loves, but Blackstone. So I'm in love with John Gray. Like, the stuff he does on LinkedIn is amazing to me. I don't know if you pay any attention to him, but he does these running videos, and he goes through it. Like, he'll be out throughout the United States, and he just starts running, and he'll be talking about what's happening in the markets there as he's running. And he's done videos in San Francisco, and he's done videos in Paris, and just very authentic, super, like, I'm sure he's not the one doing the posting or the post production, but he's creating that content while he's there, and then getting posted, and it's making him super personable, right? So now they did this launch a couple days ago where it was a teaser video of like, and Fly and I talked about this on Social Surge yesterday, or maybe it was yesterday. They did this tease of like a video that they have going out, and it was almost like Spinal Tap, where they're doing like a mockumentary. And it's freaking hilarious. So then they launched the video today, and it's a country music song, which of course I love. And it actually sounds pretty good. Like, I was thinking to myself, like, if I were still in radio, I would full on play this. Yeah. I would full on play it. Like, people would be calling up being like, what the hell was that? Like, Mo, what are you doing?
Right.
I would full on play that. It would be so funny to me, because they wouldn't be able to tell that there was any, like, nobody would be really paying attention to the lyrics. They'd just be kind of jamming, right? Anyway, I could just see that happening. But now they have a whole YouTube video that I want to go watch, because I want to see kind of like the whole stories on YouTube. So we started with LinkedIn. I saw the thing on Twitter, and now I'm going to head on over to YouTube. You've just created a community of people just traveling through your socials.
Right.
to get the whole thing. So like if we could get him or his marketing people at CREi Summit next year, oh my God, I'd freaking grill him. I'd be like, okay, who's coming up with the ideas? Because I love you.
We could try. The answer is no until you ask.
Right.
So I think definitely it's something worth doing. So yeah,
it makes me that to me, that creating that community it is like the most important part of marketing. Because I mean, once you create community, then you get that loyalty, and you get people who believe in your brand.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in that too. And I do think that there are people that like post, look at me, I'm in front of a private jet or whatever it is. And it's more superficial. Mm-hmm. It kind of seems to me when you're doing things that are more so involved with building a community, if you can break past the superficiality and you're more authentic, that's when you're going to have your cheerleaders and everything like that.
Yep. You're going to have your brand ambassadors, which is something that you want to have. And again, that's a radio thing for me. So we had street teams, and whenever we were live and on location, I'd call up street teams and have them come out, and they would help me pass out, swag, or they would be there mm-hmm. getting people to come in and do interviews. But these were people who were wanting, like, they just wanted to be mentioned on radio. They just wanted to be mentioned that they were going to be we're at a freaking, car dealership. Who gives a crap that you're at a car dealership on a Saturday and it's freaking 17 below and you're freezing your balls off, but you have street team out there that are with you, that are having a good time. They're happy to be there. They're making mm-hmm. it exciting. So if you can create that same kind of energy around your social media presence, because you are actively involving your community, you're going to freaking win 100% hands down all the time.
Yeah. Well, I just love this, but it's time. The time has come to land the plane. So is there anything that we didn't get to chat about that you want to chat about, or do you want to just tell people how to get a hold of you and stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm fairly easy. So to get a hold of me, you can find me online. All of my handles usually say _Mo Regalado or Mo Regalado. My company name is Movo Media Marketing, and you can find us on social as well. And website's movomediamarketing.com. We do social media for busy commercial real estate professionals.
Awesome. And you've been so good. Like, I haven't hired you yet, but we've talked about a lot of things. So
yeah,
the time will come. So I appreciate it. So good.
That's one of the things that I do talk about a lot, is that, I'm very much a Gary Vaynerchuk, huge fan. He's actually the reason why my radio program blew up the way that it did, because I followed mm-hmm. what he was saying. And I did exactly what he said. And then all of a sudden I wasn't looking for another radio gig. Like, I was happy where I was at, but I get a phone call, or actually I got a DM through Facebook, my business page at the time, asking if I would be interested to come interview. And it was like, sure, like, why not? But following him and doing that really helped my career. And with everything that he says about building brand and being authentic and being available, that's huge. And that's exactly how you're going to win on social and in business all the time. So, I mean, if you walk away with nothing or anything today, check out Gary Vaynerchuk. Check out all of his stuff from all the way back from when he was doing
the wine.
Ask Gary V.
The Ask Gary V stuff. Yeah.
Gary V. Yeah. So his show, he was sitting in his office in New York and just answering questions and giving, lots of advice. And again, his whole thing being, I know that, 90 some odd % of you are never going to take this advice. So I'm not worried about job stability. I'm not worried about what's going to happen, because there's always going to be somebody asking me to help them out.
I've had people say before, like, you are so open with sharing what, like, you do on social media and otherwise, or you do in commercial real estate, how I built my business. But I'm like, most of the people aren't going to do it. And I'm a big Gary Vee fan. I think if you don't follow him already, you should. he had a lot to do with my rebrand being to Beyond Commercial from the other. And yeah, love it. So
I love that. That's a whole nother conversation that we could have.
yeah, let's we'll put a pin in it for now, but yeah, definitely we'll connect and all of that. So well, thanks again to listeners for tuning in to the Performance Mindset Podcast. Don't forget that the book From Perfect to Real, Ditch Perfection, Shift Your Mindset and Thrive on Your Terms is launching in March, which is International Women's History Month. And it's going to be right around Women's Day on March 8th. It's going to launch. So be sure to go over to amycalandrino.com for a pre-order. And I appreciate all the listeners. So this is Amy Calandrino signing off.